Hello, all. I'm Ty Van Tyler, host of The Phantom Report on PhantomReporter.com. Unfortunately, I am not in the studio as I have been readmitted into rehab for my sexual addiction, which has relapsed. I was caught on Main Street and arrested for some lewd acts of sexual misconduct, to which I have no comment, nor can I remember, because I also fell into a deep state of blackout unconsciousness due to my pill addiction, which is where I will go to rehab next after this rehab. So I have this rehab and then another rehab for my pill addiction. This one's only for sex. With that in mind, my producer Bill has booked the very special fantasy guru, Kenneth Hicks. And he will be hosting this very special episode of The Phantom Report. PhantomReporter.com, and now into the studio we shall go. Ken, over to you.
And thank you, Ty Van Tyler. Good luck in rehab. Tell Jim Hersey I said hello. Here at the Phantom Report at PhantomReporter.com, we have a jam-packed fantasy special for you. You think you know Ken Hicks, the fantasy expert? You have no idea. I'm going to give you running backs, quarterbacks, wide receivers, tight ends, sleepers, busts. Coming up now.
The Phantom Report. The Phantom Report.
And we got a fantasy guru in the house today. He's coming. He's got 1,500 years of fantasy expert advice. He's going to give you his number one pick, his top sleepers, his top busts. With me today is Count Chocula Jr. Let's give a round of applause for Count Chocula Jr. He came all the way from Romania, and he's here for you today to give you fantasy advice.
Hello,
Thank you.
Ken.
Thank you, Count Chocula, for being with us today.
It is good to see you.
As well, you, sir. Now, Count Chocula, with all your
Let's
wisdom,
talk football.
with all your wisdom and fantasy advice over the 1,500 years you've been on this
Yes.
planet,
Yes.
I'd like to ask you, who is your number one pick for 2015?
My number one pick would have to be Eddie Lacy of the Green Bay Packers.
Interesting choice, sir. Now, Eddie Lacy, you're going to have a lot of running backs that might catch a lot more
Yes.
targets out of the
Yes.
backfield. Like, let's say
There are a
Jamal
lot of
Charles,
targets.
Matt Forte. Why is Eddie Lacy your number one pick?
I would have to consider him a breakout talent. Now going into his third year, he now becomes the elite talent we thought he was going to be last year.
Interesting selection there, Count. Now, moving on, let's try to get into the quarterbacks. Who are your top quarterbacks that you're looking for in
Let's
all
talk
your
about
drafts?
quarterbacks. Let's talk about quarterbacks. You want to talk about quarterbacks? You need somebody.
I want to talk about quarterbacks.
You need to have somebody who can catch the ball, who can from the backfield and throw the ball as much as he can catch it, okay? Because if you can catch the ball, then you understand how to throw the ball.
But
So you have to understand how to catch the ball before you can throw the ball.
Okay.
And that is why the best quarterback in this game is Terrell Pryor.
Now, Terrell Pryor.
He will now be a wide
converted
receiver and
to
know
a-
how to catch the ball, thus making him the greatest quarterback ever.
No,
Julian Edelman.
we're talking quarterbacks, sir. Correct? Julian Edelman
Hines Ward.
Hines Ward has retired. He's not even in the league anymore.
Then I would pick Andrew Luck.
That's a good choice. Andrew Luck, coming off 40 touchdown
My
passes
first
last year.
pick, yes.
Got new weapons with Andre Johnson. He's now got Frank Gore in the backfield.
Yes.
He's got a lot of weapons. Reggie Wayne might have left, but
Shut
you
up.
got T.Y. Hilton.
Gore.
You got Philip Dorsett. That's a good pick. I like that pick. Why do you pick him ahead of Aaron Rodgers?
Because he is unfathomably amazing. There are a million reasons. One reason, two reasons, 3 reasons, 4 reasons, 5 reasons, 1 million reasons why Andrew Luck is the greatest player that ever was in the quarterback position. And statistically, if you look at the numbers, it will support me. And if you don't like that pick, then pick Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers was going to be my next pick. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is coming off a season where, another 35 plus touchdowns. He's been so consistent over the last several years. Who do you think? I mean, Andrew Luck and Aaron Rodgers are the elite of the elite. Who do you think is going to be that third and fourth guys that are coming up the rear end?
I suppose it would be Drew Brees. Of course, always Drew Brees.
I would have to disagree with you there.
You would disagree?
I would disagree with you, Count, for one reason. Jimmy Graham has now left Drew Brees.
Want to get into a fight with me, then we will get into a fight.
Count, I don't want to fight you, sir.
I am Count Mel Chocula Jr. I have been around for 1500 years, and in that time I've never in my life had my fantasy value questioned.
Well, Le'Veon Bell's got the 2-game suspension. Do you think Jamal Charles should trump him, or
I suppose if you want a more sure thing, you would go with Jamal Charles, but he is older.
Now, speaking of old, let's talk about Adrian Peterson. Guy's 30 years old.
I will not be burned by Adrian Peterson once more. AP, you have let me down. You have let this world down. And you will never be Count Chocula's pick.
Well, Count.
I won't even trade for him, even if you offer me Julian Edelman.
I guess Julian Edelman, and who else would I have to do with that? Because Julian Edelman's not the elite talent that AP would be.
I'm saying if you offered me Adrian Peterson and Julian Edelman.
No,
I would not make that trade, because he is a quarterback, Julian Edelman, so he will understand.
Count, let me finish here. So, Julian Edelman, you think he's one of the top...
No, let me finish. Now listen.
I'm listening.
I was finished.
Now, Julian Edelman, another good, probably second...
He would be a good, decent wide receiver.
I would say number 2, number 3 wide receiver. Now, who are going to be your top receivers that you're looking for in the upcoming draft?
Who would be your top wide receiver?
I would tell you, I had 129 receptions last year. Led the NFL, led the league in receiving. You got to go Antonio Brown. The guy's a nightmare. Cuts on a dime. He is by far one of the better talented wide receivers out there.
Averaging 12 targets last year, at least. Come on, it was more like 15 targets. Let's face it.
So who's going to be your guy to follow Antonio Brown?
Dez Bryant.
Now, Dez Bryant had an interesting year last year, 16 touchdowns. Do you think he can repeat the 16 touchdowns, or you think he's going to decrease? What do you think is going to happen there?
I suppose his numbers will go down, considering that he does not have the DeMarco Murray. And when you do not have DeMarco Murray, who is the leading rusher last year, then you will have not an exact science. Because let's face it here, okay? We're talking about science, and this is not an exact science. This is football. You have to consider there is throwing and catching and also running, and then sometimes there is kicking. That is so many factors that your mind might explode, but not my mind, because I am a vampire.
I understand.
Who loves chocolate?
That's is that Godiva chocolate, or are we talking about...
I only eat chocolate sweeties from my Count Chocula cereal. Part of a balanced breakfast. And my wife does my hair.
It's beautiful.
I
wish I could grow some. Now, we talked about the wide receivers. Let's move on to the tight ends. Who are your top tight ends going to be?
I suppose it would have to be Gronk. Would be number 1.
That's right, Stormborn. Born in a storm. That name is by birth, not coincidence. I was born in the storm of '85. I floated across the carcasses, across the great deluge, into the boat that saved my life. They gave me the birth name William. I chose the last name Stormborn because that's what I was born in. And I will find that storm. I have based every day of my life to find that storm somewhere across this motherfucker right here. I've tracked it day by day, from here to here to here to here, down here, over there, and when I'm done, I will have it in my grasp, and I will take it, and I will consume that storm, and I will be what my name and my birthright is, the true Stormborn. Back to you.
I'm sorry, was that in English? I only speak Romanian.
So moving on to... Count, I'm
Don't
sorry.
fuck with me, bro.
I apologize, Count. I apologize.
Don't fucking touch me. Dirty fucking human.
So moving on, we gotta talk about.
Let's
We talked
start.
about the quarterbacks, the running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. Now, who are your sleepers going to be this year? That they're not going to be drafted in the early rounds.
No,
We're talking
of
about
course
mid to
not.
late rounds. Who can be the C.J. Anderson or Odell Beckham Jr. from last year, this year in 2015?
I would have to say my first concern is that nobody counts out the Colin Kaepernick, because granted their defense is completely emptied out and they have absolutely no chance of probably making the playoffs or having a winning season. But that does not mean that Colin Kaepernick, who has been working all off season with Hall of Fame great player Kurt Warner. He has been working with Kurt Warner for so long that they have become one in the mind space. And they've been catching passes and passing passes. And when you do both, you become a great quarterback. I believe we will see that of Colin Kaepernick. And I believe with Torrey Smith joining the team, we will see wonderful things from the Bob Burner.
Now,
arm.
speaking of Torrey Smith, he's only a downfield threat, and you have to look at the numbers of Colin Kaepernick down the field last year was only 33%.
Because he did not
connecting on
have Torrey
passes.
Smith. He had no. Who was his downfield threat? Anquan Bolden? Anquan Bolden is no downfield threat. He can catch over people, but he cannot burn anybody because he is so slow, because he is so big.
Well, Torrey Smith, the guy's kind of
He
lost a
catches-
step
Yes,
from last year. Who is it? Steve Smith Jr. actually outpaced him in Baltimore.
well, Steve
and-
Smith Jr. is on deer antler spray, and you heard that from me, and vampire blood.
Now, we got to move away from Kaepernick. We
Yes.
know how you feel about Kaepernick.
I would say another sleeper.
Who's going to be your next sleeper?
My next sleeper would be Melvin Gordon
Now, Melvin Gordon, he's
He is a
he's
rookie.
rookie running back.
for the Chargers.
He had a great career at Wisconsin. You got Danny Woodhead back there. Now, what are you going to do as far as if Melvin Gordon, he's a rookie, pass protection's always going to be an issue. So why would you say Melvin Gordon has the upper edge on, let's say a veteran back there like Danny Woodhead?
Well, you have to consider first that Danny Woodhead. He is a diverse, very resourceful tool, but he is no running back that you cannot run for 3 downs or 4 downs if you are getting to the 4th down, which you would be getting to if you were using Danny Woodhead as your main running back. Melvin Gordon, you do not draft him in the 1st round if you are not going to use him, and that is the same deal with the Browns, and that is why they are still trying to use Johnny Manziel. And let's talk about Johnny Manziel, can we? Because he is going to be a good running back.
Running back.
Yes.
Why would you think he's going to be a running back?
Well, because he can run the ball.
My grandma can run the ball, but you don't see her playing in the
Well,
NFL.
do you think that he can throw the ball?
I think he had a horrible first year, and obviously he did go to rehab. He's
With Tyler
Changed his
Tyler,
ways.
in fact. I heard.
yes, I think it was again the popping the pills, but the guy's got to come into his own. I mean, you got a whole city of Cleveland relying on you. You haven't
And
made the
LeBron
playoffs in
James.
however many years, and what do you think Johnny Manziel is going to be a big sleeper for this team?
I think that he will move into the running back position, and then he will run, and he will run for 4,000 yards.
Now,
So
I can tell you now that 4,000 yards is a pretty long shot, considering no one's even eclipsed 2,500 yards.
I
in a
have
season.
done it several times in my career.
Now, Count, I understand that, but Johnny Manziel
Count
was
Junior.
Count Chocula Jr.
Count was my father.
and he
Count
was a much
Chocolate.
better individual than yourself. I can tell from the fantasy expert point. Who's another bust that you would say that, let's say quarterback wise, that you want to stay
RG3. RG3, it has to be. It has to be RG3 because everyone is waiting for RG3 to come back, but he'll never come back because his knees are made out of rubber bands.
He's like the Samuel Jackson of.
No, Samuel L. Jackson is good at his job.
Well, I'm talking more unbreakable. Samuel Jackson just
He's
steps
like-
on the field, just
he-
falls
he is-
falls over, breaks his leg, still doesn't know how to slide properly. And, RG3 has busts. He's been a bust the last 2 years. He's going to be another bust this year.
Let me ask you this question.
Tell me another player other than
Okay,
RG3.
okay,
RG3 is a given. Who's another?
Okay, another
Let's
player.
give a wide receiver that you
Wide
think is going to just bust completely this year.
I don't think he will be a complete bust, but I am a little bit concerned with Jordy Nelson. I think that his numbers will decline slightly, but more importantly, I think a complete bust would be Wesley Welker. I do not think Wesley Welker will be anything other than
Is Wesley
35.
Welker on a team this year?
Wesley Welker is my accountant.
Did
Is he not
switch?
on a team?
I believe I think he's still in Denver, but he's had so many concussions that
I'm pretty sure
Is-
he is in Denver. I mean, I'm
Champ
not
Bailey
the
even
host
said
of the
that
show.
he's
I'm
afraid
just,
for Wes Welker's life if he's going to keep playing.
Champ Bailey, he doesn't even
Count, for 1,500 years of fantasy football expertise, you've been giving busts of RG3, Wes
Yes.
Welker. These are not. I'm talking. I need a bus that Joe Schmo at home right now
Okay, I have.
needs to know
I
before
have.
the draft.
Okay,
Who's
here
it going
is
to be?
Here is my pick. Here is my pick. Are you ready?
Yes.
Ryan Leaf. He will be a terrible bust. He will not be a good quarterback at all. He'll probably go to jail.
Count, that was several years ago. Ryan Leaf did go to jail. He was accused with Ty Van Tyler at the time of trying to steal prescription pills along with Jim
course.
Irsay and
turned in young
Ryan
times.
Leaf, really. Now, I gotta ask you about moving away from the bus, we gotta talk about strategy.
Okay.
Now, for a strategy, when you're going into the draft, you got all your research, everything lined up for you, ready to go. What is your strategy that you take into the draft with you every time you go?
Well, you have to understand that, first of all, it is not an exact science, okay? It is not an exact science. Okay, you have a lot of things that you have to consider. And what you want to go in there is you don't want to be the first person who goes and takes a defense or a kicker. That is just silly, okay? Don't be the last person to do that. Okay, don't even take one. Just go in later on and fill it out in the waiver wire. Don't even waste your time. Take all the talent you can get. You want to fill out the best team possible. Don't be like, I need a running back, I need a quarterback, I need the backup quarterback to go with my quarterback. Oh, you need to go and get the best player available when he's available. You don't need to be messing around, okay? I've drafted for so many years that it will blow your mind, and your grandchildren's grandchildren will draft with me, and we will talk of these many things along with our future brew, which will be a mixture of alcohol and blood, and because we will all of us be one species.
Very interesting,
Yes.
elaborate, detailed response there, Count. Now, the obvious is, yes, drafting, defenses and kickers in the last couple of rounds.
You smell delicious.
Thank you, Count. I've been.
But I only eat Count Chocula cereal from General Mills.
You gotta know what your add and drops are, what day it is, how many can you do. You gotta do that throughout the season. Make sure you're on that waiver wire, getting that next C.J. Anderson and Odell Beckham Jr. Now, we got some fantasy experts not coming up right now, but I just want to thank you for joining us here today, here at the Phantom Report at phantomreporter.com. And Count Chocula Jr., it was a pleasure, sir, with your 1,500 years of fantasy expert advice to share with us today for you sitting at home. Now, I'm Ken Hicks, fantasy guru extraordinaire.
And I'm Mel Chocula Jr.
Is that a wrap?